you use this word several times in the book. I don't know why I picked it up. I guess it's a very strong word. You talk about China being viewed as a pariah by
Mm.
the outside world and how that is very upsetting to them. Do you think that that's a driver of some of their policies? I mean, and if they're a pariah, who's their friend today in 2021?
Yeah, it's a great question. I do think that there's this very strong kind of animating desire to be treated as a full member of the international system. And when we think about China now and the size of its economy, that seems like a slightly quaint desire, because clearly in so many ways the PRC has very much arrived, and there's no questioning that. And yet, when it comes to issues like universal human rights or China's political system, I think that Chinese officials still feel very much on the back foot, as if the assumption, the sort of fundamental assumptions about the way that the world works is that systems will be based on democracy and that countries are on a trajectory toward that end, even if they haven't finished the journey yet. Chinese officials have been challenging that notion quite publicly in recent years, and kind of touting a China model as an alternative, but there is this still very strong desire to achieve recognition. And if you saw headlines in recent days about the World Bank's ease of doing business index and China's attempts to influence that ranking, I think that's kind of a nice small example of how something that is relatively insignificant, if you're 72 versus 68 on that ranking, it's not going to move the bar very much for foreign observers, but it's a stamp of international legitimacy that the government in Beijing still wants quite badly. And then, on the related question of who are China's friends, I think you can sort of, China doesn't really have formal allies in the same way that the US does. It has a couple of very, very close relationships, notably by treaty with North Korea, then an incredibly strong relationship with Pakistan, kind of similarly close ties with Cambodia, and beyond that, it's much more of a sort of mixed picture. China is very capable of using economic inducements to win influence in Africa and parts of Latin America, and it's really struggled, I think, in the last few years to win over genuine friends in the West. And in many ways, wolf warrior diplomacy has made that challenge even more difficult.